Hello, welcome back to the Creative You, aka Shine Baby Shine podcast. I'm back, and I had a lot of hats I still didn't show you. And after listening to my first podcast, I realized that I forgot a very, very important thing, and that was my name. My name is Catherine Kirby. I forgot just a little bit of information. My husband watched the podcast. He didn't catch it. And I said to him, it's amazing when you're looking at yourself on the camera, how you see these wrinkles and lines. He said, I know, I see it every day. Hey, thanks. Thanks, hubbo, for making me feel good. Anyway, I was thinking about names. And do you ever have that situation where you've seen somebody time and time again, and you can't remember their name, but they know yours and they call you by name, and it gets more and more embarrassing because you can't remember their name? Well, that happened to me with the FedEx guy. When he first came, I wanted to get on a first name basis. Hi, my name's Catherine. Hi, my name is. And for a couple times, I remembered his name, and then I drew a complete blank. And he would come in and say, hey, Catherine, how are you? And I'd say, hi, and I'm thinking, what's your name? So finally, months went by, and I was so embarrassed to say, I've forgotten your name. My granddaughter, Michaela, was working. Hi, Michaela. Michaela's at University of Pittsburgh at Johnstown, Pennsylvania, in her first year. She was working, and I saw the FedEx truck pull up. And the FedEx truck never comes on Saturdays, but there he was. My dog adores this guy. My dog, Ellie, she's a full-bred speckled Cocker Spaniel, and she's the shop greeter. She's sleeping on the couch right now. I'll show her to you sometime. And I said, Michaela, you got to find out what his name is. You got to find out. In he comes. He says, hi, Catherine. I'm a coward. I've gone to the back of the store, and I call, hey, Michaela can sign for you. And she walks up and extends her hand and says, hi, my name's Michaela. And he says, hi, Michaela, do you want to sign here? And she realizes she's not getting his name. So she says, my name is Michaela. Nothing. She says, what's yours? And he says, my name's Todd. And the moment he said it, I knew that his name was Todd. I'm like, that's it, Todd. But on the other hand, it happened to me. A customer who had come in numerous times, one day as she's leaving, she says, she has her hand on the doorknob. She turns around and says, what's your name? Nobody knows your name. And I said, it's Catherine. And I thought, should I wear a name tag? And should I wear a name tag that says hi? Sorry, my phone just went off. So anyway, it happens. And when I met my husband, he was widowed, and I would see him at the post office many times. And he didn't know my name. And one day he finally said, what's your name? So yeah, names are a lot. And if you get someone's name wrong, it's awful how you just continually think of that person on the wrong name. So on to knitting and crocheting. I did notice some things that I didn't tell you properly the last time. I got one of the hats wrong, and I'll figure that out and let you know. So I also mentioned that I had ordered from Mrs. Myers, and my box came today already, 2 days later, and it came here. So maybe I'll show you some of those things. But let's start at the beginning here with the braided cable beanie. This is a fun knit. It was a fast knit. You do big cables. You have 18 stitches, and you do 6 and 6, and then the other 6 and 6. It's a pay for pattern. This was done with Cascade Pacific. You can use either double strand of worsted, which is what I did, or you can do just one chunky. And this is by Prem, P-R-E-M Knits. And she's born in California and lives in Lake Mohawk, New Jersey. Sounds like a neat place. And she likes to design hats. And I would do this pattern again in a heartbeat. Okay. Moving on to the one skein beanie in the round. Aren't hats fun? You can never make enough hats. This is actually more of a blue purple. It's showing up as kind of a green, but it's not. It's not green. And this is by Silver Laurel. And when you click on her, she's from Australia and she had beautiful jewelry on Etsy, but I don't think the shop is open anymore. So this was really fun. This was done with a yarn called Dahlia, D-A-L-I-A. And when I find that yarn, I'll show it to you. But quick, I did my own fluffy pom-pom. And then a lot of you have probably done calorimetry. It was one of the top Ravelry patterns in 2000 and I think 16. It's like an ear warmer, and you do these short rows that create little buttonholes. This was done with Noro's Silk Garden, and I did one in Chunky Mochi for a child, which I think we talked about Chunky Mochi from Crystal Palace at the last podcast. And I did another one in Chunky Mochi. Look at those beautiful colors. And I think when I did these, I just kept making them. I mean, you can do one in an evening. This is Debbie Bliss Rialto DK prints. So pretty. I just couldn't stop making them. There was a upscale lady that came into the shop. And when I showed her this, she said they may be okay for the homeless shelter. So I don't think she could picture herself in one of those. It's a simple pattern. It was free. It's done by Catherine Schoendorf, and it's the only pattern she ever did. She's like one of these authors that does this bestseller and then just stops. So, on the last podcast, I mentioned Julia's cable headband, and I forgot to show it. It's very pretty. This was done by the same lady that did the, by Paula Chin, who did the Speedy Cable Beret and Cowl. And this was done with Lace Merino Aran, which is 100% merino. I figured since I'm showing you what I made, I'll show you a different color in the yarn. And also on the last podcast, I apologized over and over because things were backwards. And I didn't realize that I see them backwards, but you're not seeing them backwards. So you're seeing the label right on. So sorry for that one. And then let's go on to the grounder hat. The grounder hat was a test knit I did, and from here down it's wrong. Had a mistake in it, and I didn't know, and I had to have it done for the test knit. So this is the true pattern. And it is by Jennifer Knight, and it's done with Diamond brand Llama Soft. It's a very nice, luxurious, soft yarn. And I'd like to make more things in it. Llama Soft. So if I had the time and I could do this hat again and do it properly, but it is a pretty pattern. Kind of combines lace work with regular knitting. Another headband that I liked is this one. This is called Winter Morning. You can knit this up in a couple hours. And this is done with Perfection Super Bulky, which is a Kramer yarn. I talked about Kramer yarn at the last podcast. It's a Pennsylvania company. And this is their Super Bulky. See the pretty colors? You can make one of these with a half a skein of yarn, so it's only about a $5 project. And then a while ago when I showed you the one skein hat, this is the yarn. This is, and I said Katia. It's not Katia, it's online. It's Dahlia. Kind of reminds me of a watercolor painting, like just such nice soft colors, and it actually did take more than a skein. So and the last podcast I showed the little top this hats from DMC company. Here's the little kitty cat, and I wanted to mention to crocheters out there that you can also crochet these hats. There's the little bunny, which would be so cute for Easter. And you can also do the lovey blankets out of these. And that's how far I got with one skein. Cute. So, what have you all been knitting and crocheting? What have you all been doing? What do you want to do for 2019? Do you have special things you want to do? Are you still going to do shawls? Are you going to graduate to sweaters? I had shown this at the last podcast, and you know how it is when you make something new and you just want to keep wearing it. I think I might have forgot to say the name of the pattern. It's Midsummer, and all one word, and summer is spelled S-O-M-M-E-R, and it's Taiga Hillard. I love her patterns. And this is done with a tape type yarn by Diamond, and it's called Baby Llama Lino because it has linen in it. And the pattern called for a 19 needle. I used a 17, and I was very happy with it. I also, last podcast, showed you the Isadora cowl made out of Amatola and Trenzar. And I wanted to show you a hat made out of the same color. So it's just a basic beanie hat. I think it was in one of their Amatola books, but the yarn is 50% wool, 50% silk, feels nice and soft. And I had also made a cowl out of it, and this is a free Ravelry pattern. You get these little diagonal lacy holes, and the pattern is called Millie Galore. So M-I-L-L-I-E, second word Galore, C-O-L-O-R-I, cowl. And the gal that created this has two patterns on Ravelry. I think they're both free, and her name is Susan Nerio, N-E-R-I-O, and that's with half a skein of Amatola Grand. So you could make two cowls with one skein. And I saw on Ravelry where somebody made a pumpkin out of this color, and they felted it. It was so cool. I can't wait to do one. I mean, I don't mind being a copycat, but here's the Amatola Grand in this color. Very nice. And to kind of backtrack a little bit, had a little bit of trouble staying organized. This was the Llama Soft that I did the grounder hat out of. It's very luxurious. It's all llama. And it retails for $14. This is called the Perfect Topping. And you get the pom-pom, and you get this chunky yarn that's kind of knit for $11. And I did the pattern several times, but I also kind of got bored and I wanted to do other things with it. So I just did a little ribbed beanie for a little boy. I did slippers that match this. I crocheted a hat, which this is called the Chunky Pom-Pom Beanie. And when I first started making it, I was making it wrong. I was doing single crochet, and it's actually a herringbone stitch. And once I got it right, it changed the way I look. But you do it with a big hook. I think it's a P, and it's just so fun. You can make one in like 20-30 minutes. I made a whole pile of them. I couldn't stop. I was getting yarns from all over the store and making this. It's by Sarah Friesberg. It's called the Chunky Pom-Pom Beanie, and she has lots of patterns. Check her out. And with that same yarn, I also knitted up some ear warmers, just created a pattern with garter stitch. It's an acrylic yarn, I believe. Nope, it's 80% acrylic, 20% wool, and you get the pom-pom. And then this is actually the pattern that it calls for, that you get in the package. And if you go on Ravelry, there's a woman that made every color that's available. It's really neat to see. Okay, what is left? This is called the Aspen Beanie, and it's spelled A-S-P-Y-N. This is really warm, and it's because of all these cables. You have to pull 6 stitches over 6 stitches, and it gets a little hairy, it gets a little tight. This is Cascade Aran, Superwash Aran. And you can probably see what I did. I started out with the cream color, and when I joined my new yarn, I pulled the white. So my granddaughter wanted it for Christmas, and I didn't have a lot of time, and she was like, that's okay. And I'm hoping when I put the pom-pom on it that you can't really see it. These pom-poms put out by Knitting Fever, they actually, on their website, call them pom-pon. I don't know why. They have a snap. And so you can sew in the little snap, put it on your hat. You can take it on and off your hat, move it, take it off when you wash it. And they come in numerous colors, and they're really fun. They're a faux fur pom-pom. So, just to kind of catch up what we've all been doing this week, my husband and I, because it's really cold, we've been snuggling up at night. It's kind of funny. A couple years ago, he bought me a dual electric blanket, and he told everybody, you'll never, never catch me with my side of the blanket on. Well, guess what? He's using it. But anyway, cuddle up and watch a movie. And I'll knit, and we watched this movie called The Identical, and I'd recommend it. It's about 2 identical twins that get separated at birth. It's during the Great Depression, and this dad has no hope of finding work. He can't find work anywhere. His wife is due with a baby, and he comes home, and she's delivered twins. Well, that night he goes to a revival. And there's some good actors and actresses in this movie. Ashley Judd. Anyway, the minister begins by asking for prayer because his wife has had yet another miscarriage. And he begins weeping, and she begins weeping. And this young man goes home very troubled. And his wife says, no, I'm not giving up my babies. And he says, well, how about one? So he talks her into it, and their baby becomes a rock star. The baby that gets adopted by the minister and his wife, they think he's going to be a minister. But he also has this love for music. And the actor that plays this, he actually played an Elvis impersonator, and he has all these movies. It's a great movie. It's a beautiful love story. The ending just grabbed my heart, just portrayed beautifully. The only thing that bothered me was in the movie when the young couple give their son away. I'm thinking they're at most 20 years old. Well, 30 couple years later, when you meet this man again, they make him look like he's about 90. I'm thinking, oh, come on, you guys got to put a little bit more thought into this. When I made my granddaughter the Aspen beanie, her dad, I haven't knitted anything for him in a long time. In fact, when he was a kid, he worried that I would want to make him things. And he'd say, Mom, I don't need anything. I don't need anything. Well, yeah, he's older now. And I said to him, would you wear a hat if I made it? And he saw the one I made for his brother, which was like a gray and a maroon. And he said, yeah, I would wear a hat if you did it navy blue and gold or black and red. And I knew exactly right away what he was talking about. He was talking about Notre Dame and Chicago Bulls. And so anyway, this is what I came up with. It's one of the few times in my life I just started out knitting without a pattern. And because of that, I think it turned out a little big. So I crocheted a slip stitch edging around it. And I left the yarn on because if it's too tight, I can take it out. And I did my first duplicate stitch, which don't shy away from it. It's not hard. It took me 2 hours because I had never done it before. Kept tearing it out. And then I thought my R looked more like an A, but I mean, he'll get it. This is done with lace merino worsted. Love it. It's a superwash merino, nice and soft, and superwash merino does tend to stretch and it can get bigger. So if I had to do it over again, I would have made it a little smaller. This is the bulky. If I said lace merino worsted, it might be, or it might be their chunky. So that's that. And when I sent him a picture, he wrote back and said, way cool. And then I said, do you want a pom-pom? And he's like, no pom-pom, that's okay. And I'm like, is that no pom-pom is okay? Or is that no pom-pom? So I text back and I still got the same kind of answer. And I didn't know. So I didn't put a pom-pom on it. This is a hat called Baby Bear Hat. It's really cute. It's just basically a beanie with these little garter stitch ears. And this is done out of Ella Rae Cozy Alpaca, which is a really soft 70% acrylic, 30% alpaca. And it has the cute little flip up brim. And that is a free Ravelry pattern by Gilda Knits. Looks like she had an Etsy store, but I think it's closed. If you check her out, she also has these heart fingerless mittens that I think would be great for Valentine's Day. And I'm going to see real quick if I can find a picture of them to show you. You know, when you knit a pattern and it's free, do you ever go on and message them and say thank you for the free pattern? Because I think that designers really appreciate that. They put a lot of their time into it. Those are her heart fingerless mitts, which I think they'd be really fun for Valentine's Day. Gilda Knits, that is her name. And when I showed you the winter morning headband, which is right here, the gal that did that is Galore Hudson. And I forgot to mention that she has on her page that because of what's going on with the government workers, she's giving free patterns to government workers, which I think is really nice. She has whiletheyplaydesigns.com. It's really nice. And she has a pattern that I've been looking at that I would like to do called Bracken Fingerless Mitts. And I'll show you them in just a minute. And I mean, that is one of the fun things about doing people's patterns, is that it leads you to more patterns that you want to make. And here they are, the Bracken Fingerless Mitts by Galore Hudson. It's a $3 pattern. And let's see if you can see those cables there. So I think I would like to do those. But anyway, shoot your designer a message and say, thank you for the free pattern. I really appreciate it. You know, I was looking today at a hat, and I wish I had it up here, but long before the messy bun hats got popular, we did a hat in our store, and it was called the ponytail hat, and nobody wanted to make it. Everybody thought it was stupid. I would ask people, and nah. And then, basically, the messy bun hat, it came out renamed, and everybody liked it. So this is called the Easy Peasy Messy Bun Hat. It's crocheted. It's done with Queensland Cairns yarn, and this is one of the colors. It's a tape construction, cotton acrylic yarn, 60% cotton, 40% acrylic, that knits and crochets up really pretty. And this gal, Selena Lane, has a website called simplycollectiblecrochet.com. It's really cute. She has some cute stuff on there. And that's her pattern. And while I'm talking about this yarn, Cairns, I'll show you some other things that were done with that yarn. This was a cowl that I just crocheted up and alternated single crochet and double crochet. And to kind of break up the multicolor, I put a yellow cotton in there called Kid Cotton from Euro Yarns. And so that's that. And then there's a free pattern from Knitting Fever with that yarn. And it's a infinity cowl. And I don't see it right now. So maybe we'll come back to that. And, oh, here it is, here it is, here it is. I've noticed when people do the red color, it's really pretty. Some crocheters call this the granite stitch. It's when you single crochet and then chain one. And some people have said in this colorway, it reminds them of kitchen rugs. But I think it's really, really pretty. Like I said, you'll see this on Ravelry. You'll see many people have made this with this yarn. So that's that. And I love to knit and crochet. People ask me, which do you like best? Well, that's like, what kind of ice cream do you like best? What? I mean, I can't really say. I would not want to give up either. I love them both. This is the Irish Hikers headband. And if you make one of these, you make a dozen of them because they're really quick and fast. This one was done with Debbie Bliss Roma, which is an alpaca wool. And they're nice gifts at Christmas. And then this was on one of the Debbie Bliss magazines. This is Debbie Bliss Cashmerino Aran Tonals. And on the cover of this magazine, it kind of looks like the Roaring 20s. And I thought this would be nice if you were getting chemo too, because it's kind of like a turban, you know, cute. So as you can see, I'm starting to get a lot of gray. When you first get your gray hairs in, they stick up. I mean, I remember my mother saying she knew when she got her first gray hair, she came home from the hairdresser and looked in the mirror and this one gray hair is just sticking straight up. But it's a decision that you have to make when you start to get gray is, well, do I look mousy? Am I going to look okay? And when my grandsons say, Grandma, you're getting white, I go, this is silver. People pay for silver. But anyway, I've read that it does soften up your appearance because as you get older, you should go lighter, not darker. And I remember my grandmother would dye her hair this real dark black, and it just made her look really old. But anyway, a few years ago, I went to a knitting retreat in Maine, and everybody there had let their hair just go gray, go white, whatever. One lady had long, long white hair and said, I get so many compliments on my hair. The one woman that had dyed her hair all these years said, I really regret it because it is going to be so, so hard for me to go natural because it's going to make me look so old when I go natural. And I get what she's saying. Excuse me. Excuse me while I reach and pick up my things. That was another chunky pom-pom beanie minus the pom-pom. I'm telling you, you'll get addicted to that pattern. And last week I talked about the Anna beanie, which I think is really darling. And I failed to mention the designer, who is Jessica Cooper. She's a really cute web page. And one of our regulars came in today. She made the cameo Cardi out of Kaleidoscope worsted. Really cute. I hope that she can be on the podcast and show you what she's made. But kudos to Jessica Cooper. Keep doing what you're doing because you're talented. I would love to do this hat in other colors. This is Ella Rae Seasons self-striping in pale colors. And I confess, I saw someone else do it, and I wanted to do it too in that same color. So I read a story once about this woman that was peeved because she felt like all of her ideas, her neighbor would copy them. And she was really getting irritated and out of sorts about it. And one day she saw one of her neighbors had a sled on the front porch, and she loved the way it was decorated. And she said, oh, I'm going to do exactly that. And then she realized that that is the exact thing her neighbor was doing. And she realized it's a compliment when somebody wants to copy you. It's a compliment. So Kaleidoscope worsted, it's an acrylic yarn. I just crocheted this cute little hat with it, just kind of made it up as I went. And as I'm filming, I notice that my face is getting red and hot. They can call it acne rosacea, but really, for me, it's a gluten sensitivity. And it makes your face dilate. And I just ate a gluten-free bar, but I can't eat gluten-free bars either. And I don't know when I'm going to realize that. Your skin is your biggest organ. And so when it reacts, it's telling you something is wrong. My husband doesn't seem to be gluten intolerant, but we went out to a restaurant and he was eating biscuits and he started to get these red splotches. And I said to him, I forgot that you used to get them. So clearly he reacts. But when your skin breaks out, it's telling you something's wrong inside too. So when a customer comes in and they're fiery red, I ask, do you mind if I talk to you about that? Because you might be gluten intolerant. Now, there's a doctor on YouTube, Stephen Gundry, and he says it's not gluten, it's lectin. So I guess that's up for debate. But anyway, if your face gets red within an hour after you eat, stop and think about what you're eating. Also, I used to tell patients all the time, gas isn't supposed to stink. And everybody would say, really? I didn't know that. No, gas is just air. It's like when you belch, it shouldn't smell. If it smells, take a look at what you're eating. It's fermenting in your gut, which stretches your colon out and causes pain. And it's doing other harm to your body too. So it's my little tip for the day. So one day I was at the shop, and sometimes it can go hours before customers come in, and there's a lady called Woolly Wonders, and I just kind of did a crochet along with her, and I started doing these little hats out of Cadia bulky cottons. I think it would really be good for people that lose their hair and need really soft things, or just sometimes babies have bigger heads, and because it has nylon, it has great stretch. So this is the cotton flapper hat, and that's by Heidi Yates, and she has really, really cute patterns. Check her out and look at all the, they're kid friendly, they're cute, they're adorable, they're really, really cute. So that's the cotton flapper hat. This one, oops, I'm sorry, this is the cotton flapper hat with the flower, and this is the cotton hat without the flower. And I think we're winding down here. Perfection Super Bulky. I also did a waffle hat, and I think I just went online and got the pattern. I'm kind of getting braver about doing my own designing, just kind of taking off and doing it without without being afraid. The Kramer yarns also have a yarn called Tatami Tweed. It's a cotton acrylic, and you can get it in tweed or not tweed. And I did a pattern called Lily's Sweater. You start with the hood. It's all in one piece. It's by Cottage Creations, and she has booklets out, and the booklets sell for $7. And I talked to her in person, and she said that years ago, I mean, she was like before her time doing these seamless knits, she lost first place in a competition because her garment didn't have seams. So this is Lily's Sweater. I think it's done in a size 3 or 4. And this is for my grandson Tobin, and he's big into T-Rex. And look at these buttons I found, T-Rex. So I'm quite ashamed of myself. I really should have had this done months ago. I had to tear it out, lengthen the sleeves because he's grown. And the only thing was, I just needed to put the buttons on. And once you get them on, you wonder, why did it take you so long to put buttons on? I can't answer that. Procrastination, I don't know. This is a simple baby hat, and when you check it out on Ravelry, it has a really cute little baby modeling this, and it's a quick knit, and she uses the dreaded stockinette curl as a plus to get it to come up like that. And this is by Allison Williams. It's in a newborn size. She said she's a mother of 7, a homeschooler. She has published patterns with Blue Sky Alpaca and a website called skainsherway.com. Really cute. This is done with Ella Ray Cozy Bamboo. Okay. And another crochet pattern. I mentioned Woolly Wonders, and then I couldn't figure out which hat. This was a crochet along with Woolly Wonders. She has a lot of YouTube videos. You can just crochet along with her, and it's fun. This is a nice soft cotton acrylic. It's Euro Baby Soft Cotton Worsted, and it also comes in a chunky. So this was a bit of a snafu because it was supposed to be a baby hat, and I must have been in a good mood because I was crocheting loosely. I guess it'd be way, way too big for a baby. So next time, have any of you noticed as you go through life and change who you are, you begin to crochet or knit looser, and then when you have problems and things, you're knitting tighter? I found that a lot of things from last year were way, way loose compared to this year. I want to tell you about what I'm wearing. It is a really cute kind of cardigan, and it's crocheted, and it is a free pattern. Excuse me while I root through my things. Katia Funny Rainbow. They give you knitted patterns too, and a crochet pattern. And this is what I'm wearing. And you make it with one skein of Katia Funny Rainbow, which is 100% cotton. It's nice and soft. You get 688 yards. And this is just a square that you decide where you want your armholes and seam it. And it's a really pretty lace pattern. And I've seen people make beautiful, beautiful shawls with this. Well, I think maybe lastly, I'll talk about a hat I made, which I think would be perfect for Valentine's Day. There's hearts in it. This is the Alpaca Company of York. York's, Pennsylvania is about 45 miles from my house. This is a baby alpaca yarn. The lady that owns that company is wonderful. I've been to her house. I've seen her baby alpaca. So I'm sorry, it's 50% baby alpaca and 50% fine wool, which means luxury wool. You get 150 yards. So when I finished my hat, I had plenty of yarn left to make a second hat. This pattern comes from a book called The Knit Generation. It's a $20 book, and we have it on sale at the shop for $10. And I've decided I really don't want to turn this podcast into I own a store and I want you to buy things from me. But if there's something I have and you want it, please contact me. My information is on Ravelry, Creative View, Yarn Shop. But if I were to review this book, I like it. It has a lot of nice things in it and some nice hat patterns. And the hat that I made has a pair of fingerless mitts that go with it. I think these are thrummed mittens, which a lot of people don't understand what they are, but you take little bits of roving and you knit them into the mittens or the slippers or whatever, and then when you put your hand inside the mitten, it's like a fluffy cloud, and with time it felts. Although one of the ladies from the shop said she made them for her granddaughter, and her granddaughter wouldn't wear them. You know how little kids are, they don't like new things. And then lastly, the last hat I'm going to show you is a wool called Iceland, and it's a faux cable pattern, which if you've never done them, it's fun. And that came out of a book called Pints and Pearls, which is a book that I really like. I have it. I've made numerous things out of it, and I think you can still buy it. Pints